Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Come on in and gather. Gather into this space. I am Reverend Mandy Goheen, she, her, and I am just relishing in the gift that each of you decided to come here this morning and spend it in this community, in this time where we are going to explore a gift economy and what that might mean, not to the politics and economy of the United States, but the economy of our personhood and our value and how we receive will be a big lesson we'll be discussing today. In the beginning of every service, we light a chalice. I'm going to read some chalice lighting words, and I am anticipating Christian is working his way in here to light the chalice. You'll notice, as usual, there are some order of service discrepancies. I did it by myself today, so I'm feeling pretty good that we even have one. The opening words before we light the chalice and say the words together are, each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. Each morning we hold out our chalice of being to be filled with the grace of life that abounds. Air to breath, food to eat, companion to love, beauty to behold, art to cherish, causes to serve. They come in ritual processions, these gifts of life. Whether we deserve them, we cannot say or know, for they are poured out for us. Our task is hold steady the chalice of our being. As we carry the chalice with us, we go either in a meandering, aimless way or with a destination in our eyes. We share the abundance, if we have any to share, reminding others as we remind ourselves of our content of the chalice we don't deserve. Water from the living streams it fills, if only to hold out faithfully. We give back if we can, something of ourselves, some love, some beauty, some grace, some gifts. We give back in gratitude if we can, some like what is poured into our chalice of being. For those who abide with us will follow. Each morning we hold out our chalice of being to receive, to carry, to give back. Will you please join me in our chalice lighting words? In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Thank you all very much. And now, it is our practice, if you are comfortable, that you are welcome to stand and greet your neighbor as we prepare for our opening song. So if you are not someone who likes that, just sit down. It's all right. So smile and wave. But if you are free and willing to rise in body and or spirit to sing along and welcome and greet our neighbors. Good to see you. I'm not sure if I can. Okay.
loving kindness. May we be well, may we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Please be seated. Thank you. Now is the time in our service that we refer to as the story for all ages, or as I like to put it, the prelude to the sermon. The grown-ups get to hear about this more, but if you would like to come forward, oh, there's my friends. If you are willing and able to walk like this. All right, we ready? Do the hokey pokey. So what holiday's coming up? Thanksgiving. What are you doing?
My birthday.
Your birthday, my birthday. That's right, birthday holidays, winter holidays. So what do you do on Thanksgiving? Yes.
We give thanks to everyone and give thanks to everyone.
We give thanks to everyone and give thanks to everyone. Yes, Milo.
As my dad likes to call it, stuffing your face with food.
Stuffing your face with food. That is exactly where I was going with this. So there, let's go into our story. When you've had more than enough. Once upon a time, there was a family. Maybe this family had not quite enough to eat. Or maybe they had just enough. Or maybe they had more than just enough. You might not have been able to tell. They might not have been able to tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you have enough or not. It's hard to not want more or different things than the ones that you have. Have you ever had that happen? Want more or different things than the ones that you have? In any case, the family came together one autumn day for a celebration, Thanksgiving, a feast, a time of gratitude. They gathered, as we have done, around the table. There was food, there was drinks, there were flowers to remind them of beauty. And then there was a call from the gate out front. Hello, we're hungry and thirsty, and we see you have a feast. May we come in? Well, the family didn't know how to answer at first. Who were these people at the gate? Is it safe to let these people in? Did they have enough to share? Was there room? But then the family remembered. They remembered that most of them had come into this family, to this celebration from someplace else. They remembered that even they who were there at the table had not always been kind to each other. There had been times when they hurt each other. There were still times when they made each other sad or angry or afraid. There was no way to make life completely safe. They remembered times when others had shared with them, even when the others might not have quite had enough of their own. They remembered when each new member of the family had been born, adopted, or come to stay or married someone. They remembered that they had always found ways to make room, and they remembered an old saying, when you have more than you need, it's better to build a longer table than a higher fence. Want to help me with that one? Let's say that together. When you have more than you need, it's better to build a longer table than a higher fence. We have enough, they said. We might have more than enough. We are many and strong, and we can hold safe space here in our home for all who come. And so they went out to their door and the gate and the fence, and they opened the gate and they invited the people who were there in. Inside, they pulled out another table, made space for these newcomers. They covered it with a cloth, and the newcomers sat out full dishes of something fragrant and delicious that was strange and wonderful to the family. Everybody shared, and it was enough. I want us to notice that when we hear one part of the story, we hear the story of the people who were in the family in the house ready to feast. We didn't hear the story of the people at the gate wanting to come in. We don't know who they are or why they are there or what they bring to the table other than strange and wonderful food. So when you hear other stories this Thanksgiving season, I want you to think about whose stories they are and whose stories they aren't, and what those stories might have been. And with that, I invite you all to go down to religious education. And thank you for listening to my story. This is a time in the service when all of you in the community are invited forward to light a candle. It can be a candle of joy. It can be a candle of sorrow. It can be a candle of questioning. It is a thing that you need held in this community. No matter if you just got here today or you've been coming here for years, you are a gift, and the things you bring to this room are a gift. And with that, I invite you forward to light a candle for your joys or concerns. Thank you. Thank you for bringing those forward. I invite you to put things down, stretch out a little bit, become present in this space. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, imagine a gift. A gift that you've worked really hard on, or a gift that is very meaningful for you to give. And in the spirit of the practice of loving kindness, we're first going to imagine giving that gift to ourselves. We're going to acknowledge the feeling of what gift we might give ourselves. Inside might be a mystery. Gifts are hard to hold on to. And so the next time we pass the gift on, I want you to think of handing it to somebody who is beloved to you, someone who you deeply care about, someone whose reaction to your gift is important. Imagining that gift has come back to you as gifts do sometimes. I want you to imagine giving it again, this time to someone you don't particularly know well. Giving it without expectation of what might be received. Giving it out of sheer pleasure and kindness. Somehow, once again, the gift finds its way back to you. Now, holding the gift in your hand, I want you to think of somebody who gets on your nerves, someone who might be hard for you to love or deal with. And I want you to imagine giving that precious gift that you have worked so hard on to them. Probably with no expectations of return thanks or really any expectations of what might happen next. But once again, you have found that the gift has traveled back and it's back with you again, as gifts do travel. And now I want you to imagine giving that gift to somebody who you downright don't like, someone who challenges you, someone who you disagree with. It doesn't have to be someone you know well. And then imagine giving that gift. I want you to think about how the relationship might have changed in that moment. If it's someone who doesn't know you, probably not particularly much. But if they did, it might be surprising. It might be welcomed. It might be refused. And as we travel down this road of gifts, I want you to realize that the gift has returned to you again. And because we need gifts to be strong and keep giving, I want you to imagine the gratitude you feel to yourself for receiving that gift. Gently coming back into the room and present, I welcome you into a space of listening to music, connecting with giving, and connecting with yourself.
Our reading this morning is entitled The Serviceberry, An Economy of Abundance by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Well, I thought many of you may not know what the serviceberry is. It is a deciduous shrub that is native to the United States. In fact, it is found in every state except for Hawaii, in addition to all the provinces in Canada. And it's a relative of the rose family, and some species do provide edible fruit. So here are these words from Robin Wall Kimmerer. Gratitude is so much more than a polite thank you. It's the thread that connects us in a deep relationship, simultaneously physical and spiritual, as our bodies are fed and spirits nourished by the sense of belonging, which is the most vital of foods. Gratitude creates a sense of abundance, the knowing that you have what you need. In that climate of sufficiency, our hunger for more abates, and we take only what we need in respect for the generosity of the giver. If our first response is gratitude, then our second is reciprocity, to give a gift in return. What could I give these plants in return for their generosity? It could be a direct response like weeding or water or a song of thanks that sends appreciation out on the wind. Or indirect, like donating to my local land trust so that more habitat for the gift givers will be saved. Or making art that invites others into the web of reciprocity. Gratitude and reciprocity are the currency of a gift economy, and they have the remarkable property of multiplying with every exchange, their energy concentrating as they pass from hand to hand, a truly renewable resource. I accept the gift from the bush and then spread that gift with a dish of berries to my neighbor, who makes a pie to share with his friend, who feels so wealthy in food and friendship that he volunteers at the local food pantry. You know how it goes. To name the world as a gift is to feel one's membership in the web of reciprocity. It makes you happy, and it makes you accountable. Conceiving of something as a gift changes your relationship to it in a profound way, even though the physical makeup of the thing has not changed. A woolly knit hat that you purchase at the store will keep you warm regardless of its origin. But if it was hand knit by your favorite auntie, then you're in relationship to the thing in a very different way. You're responsible for it, and your gratitude has a motive force in the world. You're likely to take much better care of the gift hat than the commodity hat because it is knit of relationships. This is the power of gift thinking. I imagine if we acknowledge that everything we consume is the gift of Mother Earth, we would take better care of what we are given. Mistreating a gift has emotional and ethical gravity, as well as ecological resonance. How we think ripples out to how we behave. If we view these berries or that coal or forest as an object, as property, it can be exploited as a commodity in a market economy, and we know the consequences of that. Why then have we permitted the dominance of economic systems that commoditize everything, that create scarcity instead of abundance, that promote accumulation rather than sharing? We've surrendered our values to an economic system that actively harms what we love. I'm wondering how we fix that. And I'm not alone. So ends the reading.
At the beginning of service, I read this quote. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. It's a challenge, right? It's a challenge specifically when we're moving through this deconstructionist period. And I know you've seen this picture before, but it's important to visit again when we're talking about economics and gifts. This is a picture of the world moving and people moving from subject to consumer to citizen. And we are in a time that citizenship is vital to our survival as the outside world is rough. Citizenship is a way of belonging in this space. It's a way of belonging in a new way. We cannot just let capitalism go. That would be disastrous. But we can shift into other ways of thinking about commodity and living in the space that we call church or community or beloved community. When we are living through these transitions and we're getting into the citizen role, I shared some words with you several months ago that look like this. When we shift across, I want to look at the citizen column. It's fine for you to glance through all the words, but I want you to see how in this citizen column, the words spiritual, participate, create, interdependent, with, facilitate, network, deliberate, that's a pretty darn fine definition of idealistic Unitarian Universalism. Like if we're really, really doing well, we're functioning in a space where we all are sharing what we have. We're sharing how we have it. But it isn't always so easy to be on the receiving end of a shifting world and a shifting economy, specifically when somebody gives you a gift. Sometimes in the role of consumer, a gift can make us feel suspicious. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever wondered the purpose of being given a gift? Do you question sometimes the purity of spirit of the person giving? I know that I have received gifts that have stung, but were well-meaning. Anybody get a gift like that before? Okay, here it goes. Dag. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm going to try to say this guy's name. You want to help me? Dag Hammarskjöld. Hammarskjöld. I was supposed to think of the Swedish chef. Thank you, Christian, for helping. Dag Hammarskjöld. Okay. He was the second Secretary General of the UN. He was a really cool guy. This quote is from him. He was a huge fan of a man named Martin Buber. Have you heard of him? The I and thou philosophy. And not only was he a sharp economist, he was focused on peace in the long run. He didn't live particularly long. He died at 47 in a plane crash on the way to the Congo, where he had already sent peacekeeping troops. There is suspicion around the plane crash. There are lots of conspiracy theories, as we love as a population to come up with. However, his importance to this mantle of peacekeeping is profound, and how it feeds us today can be through more than just this quote. However, Unitarian Universalist explanation, again, this quote even has the word chalice in it, so I really like that. What if we pictured ourselves as Unitarian Universalists that each morning we hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back? What if we began that way? Then what would happen, like in Robin Wall Kilmer's reading, is our next response would be generosity. And that is the theme, the spiritual theme around here this month. That makes sense with Thanksgiving coming up. I liked in the children's story where we were reminded to think of where those stories were coming from this Thanksgiving and to think about whose story isn't present. We'll talk more about that next week. All good. My slides are a little mixed up, so I didn't know what was coming next, so that's good. Just something blank behind me. When we are a people of gratitude in the morning, in the afternoon, and we wake up understanding that we are going to receive a gift, it can change the way we receive. It can put us in a way of suspicion and discomfort. And what if the first thing we do to work on being in this gift economy is to practice knowing where our notes are and practice gratitude? All right, I give up. That's what I get for having notes, right? I try to be organized. It's a challenge. What I really specifically wanted to talk about, going back to the service berry and the idea of a gift economy and the idea of I brought it up before, potlatch. It is a Native American custom. It is a way of economy that is different from our own and important to honor when we're thinking of this time of year. It's why people got confused when they came to conquer land about how things were given to them. In Native American culture, a potlatch, it is normal for those who have the most to show their wealth by being the most generous. It is honorable to be broke if you have wealth. It is honorable not to hoard or hide the gifts that you have, but to share them with the community so that everybody's kind of on the same level. It has gotten competitive. There have been people in the Pacific Northwest who build great, huge gathering spaces, or perhaps feed their community through the winter and the hard times. It is a survival methodology. Winter is coming. To be generous means you have more. When asked about generosity and about what a young man was going to do with the elk he just shot, an interviewer asked him, so what are you going to do next? How are you going to use this animal, like out of genuine curiosity, how are you going to use and preserve this animal to feed you through the winter? And the response of the hunter was, why would I do that when I can fill the bellies of the people around me and we all have more together? It is a far greater gift in the belly of my brother than it is in my freezer. When I was little, I grew up in a Catholic family, and one of the most special things in a Catholic family is your godparent. You get a cool present that none of your other siblings get. And growing up in a place where I didn't have a lot, nobody told me that, P.S. I was one of those kids who I just didn't know this is what it was, fine. But I only got a couple Christmas presents and a birthday present. And so the holidays were particularly important to me because at Thanksgiving, my Aunt Carol and my Uncle Bob would drive from Lorain, Ohio, at the very top in Lake Erie, all the way down to the very southern tippity-tip of Ohio for Thanksgiving. If they didn't come at Thanksgiving, the weather got too bad, and we didn't see them through the winter. And they were my godparents. And they would come to visit. And we had this amazing opportunity. And it was my birthday, and it was Christmas, and it was Thanksgiving, and I always got a present. And upon arrival, my beloved godmother handed me a card, and she said, here's your present. And I opened it, and inside it said, I have generously donated in your honor. Oh, Lord. I'm going to make it worse. Are you ready? I'm sorry, to St. Joseph Indian School. At 10, I was offended because I wanted something cooler. They'd gotten me a stethoscope the year before. I had high expectations. I also felt odd about where the money went or why it went there and why those kids needed it more than I needed a I was 10. I was a little greedy, as we are sometimes, and, we have a high expectation. But the ongoing disappointment of that, I remember that. That was 47 years ago, and I remember that. I don't necessarily remember it because it was a problematic organization of the Catholic Church, which it was. But I remember not receiving the gift I was expecting, and I remember not wanting to give them the gift that I'd gotten them. That happens, right? We mistake gift giving for competitiveness, for outdoing righteousness. We forget the actual giving is the salve of generosity, giving away. It helps us be generous. It helps us be gracious. It creates what I would call salvation in economy, where we have something to move forward when it's out of our control. It's time to start thinking about holiday gifts. We celebrate a lot of kinds of holidays around here. You saw the wonderful bulletin board out there that talked about all the events coming up. We'll talk about that more too. But it's time to start giving our gifts in a different way. Don't give a 10-year-old a gift card to the St. John. It happened again to my mom. Oh, I just remembered something. I have to tell you this. So 20 years later, my mom, there's a great organization called Heifer International, right? My mom, who is my cousin Beth Ann's godmother, got her a goat in her honor. But Beth Ann, also being 10, didn't quite get that. And she's like, Mom, we live in the city, and we don't really have room for a goat. She didn't understand it was going somewhere else. So I think that that's a genuinely good idea. I love the idea of giving in someone's honor. Let's just make sure that person is in the right space of receiving it as a gift and not as feeling slighted or greedy. What will we do with the goat? I don't know. I'll probably find a place at my house. The gift of loving kindness, as we walked through earlier, is helpful in situations where you might be going to a family or angsty gathering in the holidays, as we do. It can reset the stage for you. It can create an opportunity for you to kind of think about how the gift will be received and think about where you are in the gift giving. What is the purpose of the gift? I challenge us that the purpose of the gift is not to stimulate this wild economy out there further, and that it's something that's important, or maybe even something that you already have that could move on to the next person. Maybe not in the form that it's currently in. Maybe it's a ball of yarn that becomes a scarf. We can make transitions through creativity. But something that has something in it more than just monetary value. Because giving and gratitude in the holidays are not about feeding the monster growing outside. They're about connections and relationships. Remember the hat in the reading? A hat from Target is much less value than a hat that my grandma knitted for me. Maybe you're not a good knitter. I don't know. I'm not particularly good at thread. I get all tangled up. But, and see, I said thread instead of yarn. Outed myself there. But homemade gifts are gifts of cooking or gifts of relationship. And I want to just say that the thing that is more important than the actual object in the box is the relationship and the time you're spending with that person, the value you're giving them. When we value other people, guess what starts to happen to us when we are grateful? Guess who we start being grateful back to? I heard ourselves whispered in the back. Ourselves. So maybe there's a gift you want to give yourself this holiday. Maybe there's a thing you've been wanting. Maybe that thing is more like an event, like a dinner. Maybe it's a hike in the woods. Maybe it's a drive to look at the leaves. Maybe it's a new song to download. When we are generous to other people, we start being generous to ourselves, and we lose that feeling of scarcity. That's the other thing to keep an eye on. If you start feeling like I felt when I got the card, you're feeling a sense of scarcity. Watch that feeling. Think about how you can turn it into something new. Explore it. Don't be afraid of it. That's what happens with scarcity. That's how capitalism works. We believe that we don't have the right thing or enough of what we need when it's around us all along. This place, this church, is going through this transition right now. And I was talking to my mom about, it's been a little messy. It's cleaned up. Y'all did great. Thank you for cleaning up. It's been a little messy. And what I've said is, it really feels like we have meat on our bones now. Like we have like the structure, the people coming to the stuff. We have the fun. The fun is there. The generosity is there. We need that to build how we're generous in our giving to this space. And it doesn't have to just be a financial exchange. It can be an exchange of relationship. I came here today terrified to print out the order of service, my first time on the new copier. And someone was extremely generous to me. But first, I had to give the gift of telling them how I felt, which was nervous about printing out the order of service. And in that relationship, it was not a big deal. This thing I'd been worried about all day suddenly became a gift, a learning experience. This is the place, this is our place, our safe harbor where we can come back to and practice that reciprocity, that giving and receiving and back and forth. We can think about what we have to give, not because it makes a particular person happy, but it makes a lot of people happy. Little things make a lot of people happy. This week, the things that have been done around here are pretty incredible. Not only do you have an order of service that might not have the right words in it, but also people worked in the bathroom this week. It was one of those unrecognized important gifts, is people here are working on accessibility and having an accessible bathroom. Well, it was a lot harder than you would think, that gift. A screw fell down into a hole, and they needed a magnet, and they had to move the blah, blah, blah. And, it doesn't always turn out when we give a gift exactly how we expect it. It doesn't always go quickly, but when we're in a space of gratitude, we have a way to keep going. We will have a fully accessible bathroom very soon. We are working on it. But it is a labor of love that, thanks to Dave Ben and Gary Beal, we now have the magnet, or the magnet got the screw out of the deep hole wherever. I don't even want to think about that. But it takes that kind of giving around here, not just monetary. It takes the giving of gifts, of the art on the walls, of the grass being mowed, of sharing meals together. And there's such a fabulous payout. Your payout is relationships. Your payout is a place to laugh and grow together. My payout this morning was being explained how to pronounce a word by thinking of the Swedish chef. You just never know the gifts that are out there for you. Take the holiday thinking about reciprocity, how it comes back to you, because I guarantee it'll come back to you when you give. And when you give here, your time, your talent, your treasure, you're not giving it to me. You're giving it to each other, and you're giving it to Chattanooga, and you're giving it to the community. It's not for me, it's for you. So remember when you're fixing the bathroom, or sweeping the floor, or making coffee, or going to a board meeting, or doing a budget. All these things are gifts to you, to this space, to each other. And they are so gratefully received. Just remember to say thank you. Thank you to all of you for listening to me. And I appreciated this time together. Of course, I have another story. Oh, no, I don't. Not yet. Would you like to do a social justice moment, Sandy? I would. And then I'll tell a story. I knew I was going to get to quit talking for a minute. Here you go. Yes, I think it sounds on.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sandy.
thank you, Pam, for giving an introduction to my social justice moment. That reading, the reading today was just spot on, it seemed like. I've been combing through all my books in my little library, picking out things that I thought that you might be interested in about environmental justice issues. And I don't know if any of you have heard about Aldo Leopold. Some of you probably have seen the Sand County Almanac. And Aldo Leopold was kind of the first person that thought that maybe we should be more community-minded about our environment itself. The land ethic is what he called it, and taking care of our land rather than thinking that we were somehow special inhabitants on it.
For you?
Good, thank you. So I wanted to read his quote. That's the most what most people know about him. A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise. That was, he was born in 1887, 1948. He was a forest management person with the U.S. Forest Service later in his life. And he was a writer. He wrote many books, but this is the one that mostly you hear about, Sand County Almanac. Conservation is getting nowhere because it is incompatible with our Abrahamic concept of land. We abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see land as a community to which we belong, we may begin to use it with love and respect. There is no other way for land to survive the impact of mechanized man, nor for us to reap from it the aesthetic harvest it is capable, under science, of contributing to culture. That land is a community is the basic concept of ecology, but that land is to be loved and respected is an extension of ethics. That land yields a cultural harvest is a fact long known, but latterly often forgotten. So that's, wait a minute. So I wanted to also, moving forward, talk to you about Sally McFaig, Dr. Sally McFaig. She was a professor of divinity at the Vanderbilt School of Divinity, and later on she moved up to Canada, but she's written many books, and this one is A New Climate for Theology, God, the World, and Global Warming. And I wanted to read something that she brought to us. We had to have a woman recognized here, right? We are then in a very difficult place. The kind of thinking we need about ourselves and our place on the planet, our interrelationship and interdependence with all other human beings and other life forms, has been deadened by the hand of a consumerist, militarist paradigm that exalts the comfort and superiority of elite individual human beings. We need to elect representatives to our government who will create laws to limit human energy use at all levels, from emission caps on oil refineries to regulations on emissions from automobiles. The personal and the political need to join to legislate the kind of human action in the world that will create a just and sustainable planet. Individuals cannot do this simply by trying to live environmentally within our energy-mad society. The system must be changed. The major forces within society that regulate and control our use of fossil fuels. And now to calm you down. From Wendell Berry, renowned Kentucky farmer, writer, outspoken about environmental care. The peace of wild things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Now I have a story to tell about a rock. I love collecting rocks. I love shiny rocks. I love every kind of rock. Don't bring me rocks. I have plenty. But if it's a really cool rock, I'll take it. Blah, blah. So this story is about a woman walking in the woods who didn't have much left, pretty much down on her luck, wandering around trying to find purpose. And she crosses a stream, and when she crosses a stream, she looks down, and the most glorious rock is shining up through the water. And she plunges her hand in, and she pulls it out. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to be hungry. I don't have to be thirsty. This is going to be wonderful. And so she's walking up the hill to go back to the town, and a man passes her. And to her, he looks hungry and tired and kind of the way she had imagined herself looking. And she said, can I help you? Are you okay? And he said, no, I'm just really suffering. I'm really hungry and tired. I don't know what to do next. And so she said, well, let me share something with you. I don't have a lot, but let's share. And she opened her bag, and at the bottom of the bag was a beautiful, shining, shimmering gemstone. And he said, oh, I want that. And she said, okay, and put her hand in the bag and gave it to the man, who was gloriously excited about the food he would buy and the new clothing. And he went off to the town, and she went on her way. And about 3 days later, she was out walking again. And she runs across the man, and he looks bedraggled and probably worse than when she saw him before. And she said, are you okay? What do you need? What do you need? He's like, I just want to give you back this stone. And she said, okay, well, what do you need? I need to know why it was so easy for you to give away. And with that, our offering will be gratefully received. Please join me in our offertory response. Found on with the words on the screen, it's our amazing mission. We give these gifts freely. There's a closing song. It's not called song title. It's not called song title. I invite you all to rise in body and or spirit and join us in our closing song.
This old world is full of sorrow, full of sickness, weak and sore. If you
you. Please be seated. Christian, I'd like to invite you forward to extinguish our chalice. Oh, there we go. Extinguish the chalice and join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. We're skipping so what to get straight to announcements. We're running a little late. If I would have said so what, I would have said give something to someone you don't like this week. So it's time for announcements. It's good practice, right?
Good morning, everybody. Who has any special announcements for this morning? Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol Hobbs, Chair of the Art on the Walls Committee. If you're interested, you're invited to come downstairs at 12:30 today. We're going to talk about a spring exhibit that you're invited to create a 3D fabric yarn assemblage for. And if you're interested, we have more information at 12:30. Thank you.
Thanks.
No experience required.
Thank you, Carol, for the wonderful art pieces that we all be able to. Leslie.
So I know we've been talking a lot about pronouns, and sometimes it's difficult to know. I know we got the words here, but I found some neat little buttons, and they have all kinds, different colors, different. You know, I have. If anybody wants it, I have a butterfly that says they them. So I just wanted to make sure people knew that it was out there. I'm looking for hug buttons too, hug or don't hug, that kind of thing.
That's wonderful. Any other special announcements? Then, yes, as Mandy mentioned earlier, thank you, Jan, for creating this beautiful bulletin board outside that you see. You got it all at one spot. Take a photo of it, kind of right in there. There are sign-up sheets on it for our Thanksgiving dinner. Just as a correction, we set it now for 2 p.m. So coming at 1 p.m. for anybody who wants to help with the setup, 2 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. For our Thanksgiving meal that we will have in here, we're going to have some games. So it's going to be a wonderful evening of getting together, enjoying food that we share, and lots of fellowship. Lots of the other events. Please also remember then kind of for this coming week, you see at the back of your bulletin that we're sharing our church space with other groups. Also, Wednesday morning is the Wednesday coffee hour at 10 a.m. And yeah, many more kind of board meetings, RE meetings, so lots of things happening through the week.
Meat on the bones. That's what my granny would call it. Like it's getting solid. All right.
Anything that I forgot? Any other announcements? Then otherwise, as we say typically, this service ends and your service to this community continues.